Hey, it's Hawken with TOPDON. Today we're going to do a walkthrough video on the new TOPDON Phoenix Plus 2. Now you're asking, what's different about the Phoenix Plus 2? The big change comes with the communication interface. The Phoenix Plus 2 now uses a communication interface that allows you to communicate with some of the newest vehicle data networks. That includes CAN-FD. CAN-FD is much faster data transmission amongst your vehicle's networks than we saw on previous vehicle model years. So, with Asian and domestic vehicle brands, you will now start to encounter this bus network. On the old Phoenix Plus, that required a special adapter. With the Phoenix Plus 2, that adapter is no longer required thanks to the new, updated, and improved communication interface. So now we're going to go ahead and take you through a general walkthrough of the tool, showing you all of the menus so you can become familiar with this tool from top to bottom. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so now we are connected to a vehicle here, and we are going to take you through all of the menus just like we do on all of our videos that are basic walkthroughs. So we're going to start off with going into the menu for user info, and you can also access this through the little gear in the top right corner of the screen. Once we enter into user info, you're going to be presented with a wide variety of different screens here. So, going through them one by one, you have the Phoenix MDCI screen, which allows you to see the serial number of the dongle or the communication interface. You also have the firmware fix menu for the MDCI, which allows you to fix any kind of communication issues you might be having with the dongle itself. We also have our data stream sample menu, which stores any of the live data stream that we have saved to the tool when we are looking at that data on a given car. Our profile button allows us to change a bunch of very basic pieces of information related to the tool itself. Then we have our Wi-Fi setting, which allows us to edit which Wi-Fi network we are connected to. The Diagnostic software clear button allows us to delete any software we have on the tool that we're not using in order to save storage space. However, that is generally not something you're going to need to do, as the Phoenix Plus 2 has a large storage capacity. Business information allows us to upload a variety of information on our tool, including a logo, as well as our address, our phone number, all of that type of information. Customer management allows us, if we would like to enter in specific customer details, which of course we have not in this situation, but we can add that if we wish. Photo album allows us to look at any screenshots that we may have saved to the tool, which we will show you how to do screenshots and screen recording just a little further on in the video. Upload log allows us to upload if there are any possible issues specifically with the tool. We can hit that button and it will upload that information directly to the engineering staff to allow them to do some analysis. We will also show you how to create a feedback log if there is another issue with the tool, specifically to allow the engineering staff to address those issues. So now we're going to take you into the secondary settings menu. And the secondary settings menu contains a wide variety of different settings. We have our About tab, which allows us to do a couple of different other updates that are important to the functionality of the tool. We have the Check Updates button right here. This is going to check one facet of the tool for updates. And then we have a System Upgrade button, which is an additional form of updating that may optimize and improve the function of the tool. So make sure you go into this menu regularly and check both the Check for Updates button and the System Upgrade button to see if your tool has any new updates. There is always new optimization and improvements happening with the tool, so it's a good idea to check back here regularly. We can also turn our sleep time for the screen to a higher or lower number if we desire. Next, we have the Units menu here, and the Units menu allows us to change between metric or imperial units, whatever your preference may be. We have our time system, which basically changes from a 12 to 24-hour format. We also have the automatic update radio button here, which allows our software to update automatically as long as the tool is connected to a Wi-Fi network, and of course turned on and the battery charged. We also can hide various menus if we wish. I don't generally turn this off, I typically leave that on. That's going to present you with a few other menu options when you are in the diagnostic software. We have the lock screen option, and the lock screen option basically allows us to set a security screen lock in the Android menu should we wish to do that. To go back, we simply swipe from the side of the screen. Whoops, fat fingers there. Swipe from the side of the screen towards the middle, and it will take you back to the previous menu. So as we continue down here, we have our language selection, and you can see there's a wide variety of different languages that are supported by the tool's software as we go through the list here. We have a time zone selection element here, so we can change the time zone so that when we date stamp and time stamp reports and things of that nature, they will stamp with the appropriate time zone. Renewals is simply where you can check for renewals of your software and enter in renewal codes from a renewal card. Clear cache is a troubleshooting function, and it does erase a lot of your temporary data, including some of the reports that you've saved to the tool. So I do not recommend clearing the cache unless you are instructed to do so, specifically by the support staff. USB connection mode is going to change how the USB port on the tool functions. You may need to toggle this back and forth when you are using USB accessories such as the thermal imager or the oscilloscope on the Phoenix Plus 2 tablet. Restore factory settings will reset the tool completely and erase all of your data. So you do not want to use that either unless you have been instructed directly by the support personnel to do that exactly. So we're going to go back a step here, and we're going to go back to the main page. So we've taken you through the user info and the basic settings in the top right. We're now going to take you through the rest of the menus kind of in reverse order here. So the feedback menu is going to be used to log and send any feedback data from the tool inside any of the specific software that has been used on the tool. So if you have an issue with a specific vehicle software like BMW you see here, or any car you've connected to, you will be able to attach those logs from the tool, send those to the engineering staff, and they should be able to correct those problems in the software and improve the functionality over time. We also have our history here, which stores all of our diagnostic reports and data linked to any specific vehicles we have talked to with the tool. Now, this tool has not been used on anything yet, so there's nothing in this database as of yet. We have a couple of different menus here, including a file list, which is your overall view of all data you've collected, the diagnostic report, which will be your PDFs that you've recorded off of each vehicle, and your diagnostic record, which is a little bit more general in terms of what it's going to show you. So again, in this particular case, we are not going to see anything since this has not been connected to a bunch of cars. So again, that's your history. Your history also allows you quick connection to the same vehicles if you would like to access them through that menu. So we'll take you back there after we've connected to this car and shown you some of the scan tool functions. So now we'll show you the library, which has a number of helpful links. So in the library, you see we have a bunch of links to common websites that are used by a wide variety of our users, including Facebook, Chrome, which is also accessible from the main page, YouTube. We also have a coverage list that you can access from here. We have an OBDII fault code library. We have some various service information websites. These are all just hot links that you can get to a variety of different shortcuts to different places you may want to use on a regular basis. We've also got our support tab. Our support tab is for our support personnel to remotely log into the scan tool to try and help you with various concerns. So if they ask you to pull up your support tab in order for them to log into your tool, that's the button you're going to press. We then have our update menu, and the update menu is going to allow you to update all of the vehicle-specific softwares. Now, it is also important to remember that if you want to roll back the software for a given vehicle brand, you can also do that through here. If we want to roll back a software, we can go into our scan menu. We can find the software we want to roll back one version, like OBDII, let's say. We long press, and then we can delete. Once we go back into our update menu, We'll check for updates again. Once we check for updates, we will see we are presented with an option. So here, we can physically change the version that we are updating. So as you can see, I have 3 different choices. I can pick the most recent update or one of the 2 trailing versions. This can obviously be a huge help if we are trying to determine if there's a problem with the software or potentially a problem with the car. Now in this case, I don't have any problems with the OBDII software, so we're just going to re-update back to that same version. But again, this is a useful feature to keep in mind should you have issues with specific software. So now we're going to show you the module section, and the module section has now moved the ADAS shortcut into the module selection menu. So now if you activate and add ADAS software to your Phoenix Plus 2, you will find the ADAS shortcut inside the module menu. You will also find the link to the battery tester app, which is for the BT Mobile Pro S. So if you buy a BT Mobile Pro S and you would like to do battery testing, this is where you will access the app. If you're going to use the TOPDON oscilloscope, this is where you will find the launch for the app. However, typically when you plug the oscilloscope into the USB port, you will automatically launch the oscilloscope app. If you purchase the TC001 thermal imager, you can also access the app for that through the same menu in the modules section. We're going to go back now. We also have the mall, which does allow you to purchase some additional things if you are interested. We are not logged in, so we're not going to go into that. And then we have the services menu. And the services menu is a shortcut menu that takes you to a wide variety of different functions that you may use on a regular basis on the tool. So simple things such as throttle body relearns, air-fuel ratio resets if there's adaptive fuel trim learning, battery management system resets, things of that nature can all be accessed quickly through the shortcuts menu. Now it is also important to keep in mind, if you attempt to access it through the shortcut menu and it fails, you can always access the individual module that's in charge of that function, such as battery management, through the auto scan or the scan menus by building the vehicle and going into the specific module in charge of that function, and then going into the special functions and making the toggling the option or activating that particular menu selection in order to achieve the same function. So again, services menu may help you do it faster. If that doesn't work, then you simply want to go build your vehicle. Now, we're going to show you the difference, as we always do here, between scan and auto scan. Scan allows us to get into all the different vehicle software individually by various OEM. Some vehicles may not support automatic identification by VIN number when you have the key on and the engine off. If that happens, you may want to enter into the scan menu and build that vehicle manually. When you do that, it may allow the tool to properly communicate with the vehicle, even if the automatic VIN retrieval and identification did not perform successfully. This can also be a useful tool if you run into an issue specifically where you are unable to get the vehicle to properly read the ID of the vehicle. So maybe it pulls the VIN number and you say, hey, wait a minute, that's not the right VIN number for this vehicle. You may have a used module installed in the vehicle that has a different VIN. And if that happens, then you want to go in here and manually identify the vehicle. But today, through the rest of our process, we're just going to enter in through the auto scan function. And the auto scan function is simply going to pull the VIN number from a module on the vehicle and ping the database that stores all the VIN related information over the internet and then identify the vehicle. You always want to pay attention, make sure that this accurately identified your vehicle, and then you can proceed forward with scanning and quick access to various systems. So now we're going to go into the scan menu, and we're going to take you through just a couple of basic functions on the tool so you can be a little bit more familiar and comfortable with the features. It's important to keep in mind that the speed of how fast the scan tool can retrieve fault code information, display live data, and perform any special functions of any kind will be limited by the bus network speed of the individual vehicle. The older the vehicle, typically the slower the response you will receive when you issue a command or pull data from the car using your scan tool. So now we have a few different menus up along the top. We have our system topology screen, which allows us to see all the different possible modules that could be equipped on this vehicle. We have our system list. If you prefer to see them in a list like this, you can click to the system list. Now again, this will vary by brand. This is a Volkswagen, so these are the similar menus you're going to see on a Volkswagen. If you have a Ford or you have an Alfa Romeo or something else, the menus you have up along the top here will be a little bit different. You'll typically have your system topology and your system list on all vehicles, but many of these other menus may be different depending on the brand or year of the vehicle, and as well as the model itself. You're typically going to have a shortcut. You are typically going to have a shortcut for special functions up here at the top of this menu. On Volkswagen Audi, you will also have a guided functions shortcut, and you may also have an online functions shortcut. Those shortcuts can be used to accomplish other special functions, specifically using the internet, and they do require an active and valid subscription in order to make use of those functions. You will also find that if you have ADAS calibration activated, you can access the ADAS calibration menu through this sliding toolbar up at the top here. And we also have a couple other things, including maintenance information, which is basically related to the maintenance tracking systems in the vehicle. We're not going to take you through every one of those today. We're going to keep our demonstration here just a little bit more basic and simple. So on the variety of tools you encounter for TOPDON, you will find a few different menus in terms of scanning options. So down here we have Smart Scan, System Scan, Gateway Scan, and Choose to Scan. So we have a wide variety of different options. And you're probably asking, what do we do with these? Smart Scan is always going to be your best option default if your goal is to try to talk to every module on the vehicle, and you want to make sure you pull codes from each module on the vehicle. Smart Scan is the option you want to choose. System Scan will do first so you can see the difference. System Scan is simply going to ping all of the modules in the vehicle and verify whether or not they are talking and present at this moment. That does not validate or verify whether or not those modules are functioning correctly. As you can see, they're just turning blue. There are no codes being retrieved because it is not actually doing any code retrieval. It is simply pinging the modules and saying, hi, are you there or not? So we're going to pause this since we're not interested in going really any further here. We'll just give it a moment. Okay, so now we're going to show you the other functions. We're not going to go to Gateway Scan. Gateway Scan is very similar to System Scan. It's just going to ping the modules and verify that they're there and they're talking. Choose to Scan is a useful option if you specifically want to talk to only one or two modules. If you're troubleshooting an issue on a vehicle, let's say you're just having an engine issue and all you want to do is scan the ECM, you can click that little check mark next to that individual module and click the Choose to Scan button. Whoops, fat fingers. So we're going to hit Choose to Scan, and now the tool is only going to talk to the one module we have selected, and it's going to try and retrieve fault codes. Check. And it's perhaps not going to let us do that since we did not do a pre-scan. Oh, nope, there we go. Okay. So you can see all it did was talk to one module, the one module that we checked, and now we're going to go back and clear our results. And now we're going to show you what a Smart Scan looks like. The Smart Scan is, again, the default you're going to want to use if you would like to retrieve fault codes from all modules on the car and you want to make sure that you are attempting to communicate with everything on the vehicle. Now, while the scan is going on, you do also have the option to hit the System List button and watch the results of the scan populate in this manner. You also do get a progress bar, which is kind of cool. But we'll go back to the system topology screen here. And as I said before, you can see all the different modules it's trying to talk to. Now keep in mind, if your vehicle has a large number of possible modules equipped, you may want to take your finger and try to drag the screen up and down like this, as it may be so many modules to talk to that they are physically off the screen, right? Once we have finished our scan, we're going to show you the different types of reports that we can actually generate with the tool. Now again, it's very important to remember, if you get modules that are gray, that may mean that they're not equipped. It may also mean that they are in fact not talking because there is a problem. So what you want to do is watch for other modules that are turning red and check for codes that suggest there's a communication problem with one of these other modules, right? So we always want to make sure we check that. So now that we've scanned all the modules, we can generate a report. When you generate a report, obviously I have it set to metric right now, so we're going to show up in kilometers. We have a couple of different options. We can label our scan pre-scan, post-scan, or diagnostic scan. Each one of those serves a different purpose. Now in this particular case, this is the first time we're scanning this vehicle, so a pre-scan is going to be the appropriate choice. So once we've done that, we can hit OK. We're going to delete that. There is no, I'm going to delete that. Somebody has apparently been in this tool screwing around a little bit, so we're going to delete that. We also have the option here to enter in pictures. So if we have taken a screenshot, or we want to take a picture of the dash on the vehicle, for instance, or something of note, and embed that directly into the report, we can do that right here. Again, that's the little picture icon we see there. Once we have done that, we can hit OK, and it's going to generate the report. Now, if you have scanned the vehicle once and scanned it a second time, you can integrate these two reports together. So here, we see here's our pre-scan labeled right here. We see the codes in the specific module, which module is reporting those codes, and we have the ability to share that report directly from this screen. So we can hit our share button there. Now take note, you will not see the embedded pictures in the report until you either open the report or you share it, email it, and open it on another device. The pictures do not show up in this initial screen. So we're going to email it, and we're actually going to skip this because we're not emailing it. We're going to go back. We're going to clear the DTCs. Okay, so we've managed to clear the faults. We would want to key cycle the vehicle to make sure the faults don't come back, or if this was a fault that came about under a certain condition, we'd want to make sure we replicate that condition first to verify that that fault did not return. Once we've done that and validated the faults do not come back, we can hit report, and now we could label this as a post scan. Now we can hit OK, and once we've done that, we'll hit that too because that's not our email. You will see some different buttons down here. Once we already have a pre-scan saved, we can hit our sync button, which ensures that this data has been saved to the database on the tool, as well as synchronized to the cloud. And then we can actually hit the add button. The add button will allow us to integrate these reports. So now we get to select a report, a pre-scan, a diagnostic scan, whichever report we want to integrate. We can hit that, check our little checkbox, hit OK. And now it's going to integrate our post-scan and our pre-scan together in one report. As we scroll down here, you will see them side by side. So we have pre-scan and post-scan right next to each other. We can scroll through here. We can see here are the faults from the pre-scan and the specific module that they live in. And then we can see the post-scan here, and there are no fault codes in any modules. These are also time and date stamped, which helps ensure that if there was a fix on a vehicle, somebody didn't just clear the codes and say, I fixed it, right? So this is great for documentation purposes. Now, we'll show you a couple of things for shortcuts since we're in this menu now. We have a little door here that allows us to exit the diagnostic process and go right back to the main screen. That takes us out of the vehicle entirely. So that basically resets us back to the main menu. We also have a home button here, which we can click on, and the home button does not disconnect from the vehicle. So if you need to go in and change a setting, say for instance we want to change our units, we can go in here and we can say, hey, I want to toggle my units back to metric or toggle them back to imperial. We can then go in here in the settings menu, and then when we go right back into auto scan, we're still connected to the car. So now we can make changes on the fly if we need to without disconnecting from the vehicle and disrupting our process. So obviously this is a really helpful option to be able to have at our disposal. So let's look at, if we want to look at some things like, let's say, live data. We can go into a specific module by tapping on it like this. We can enter in. We're going to see some module identification information here, which you're typically going to see on a large number of vehicles. This may include part numbers, software versions, and a variety of other helpful information. It's also often going to tell you the VIN that's stored in the module, if the module has a VIN storage. Otherwise, if it doesn't show you that menu, you may have additional information like module information or advanced version information that have those types of details. Software versions, VIN numbers stored, things of that nature. The specific menu layout will be different depending on the vehicle brand, the vehicle model, and the vehicle year. We will also see in here, there are a number of different choices. Now, each vehicle manufacturer uses a little bit different language to identify certain functions, and you will find that the TOPDON Phoenix Plus 2 will mirror the language that the vehicle manufacturer typically uses. Read data stream is live data, right? Actuation test would be bidirectional control. Basic settings and adaptations, whoops, I did not mean to hit that. Basic settings and adaptation are a function that are used for relearns and writing new data to the module and things of that nature in Volkswagen land. But again, we're going to have different menus depending on what the vehicle brand, year, make, and model is. So just keep that in mind as you go through your tool and use it on a variety of vehicles. Let's take a look at the data stream. So each vehicle is also going to have a different data stream layout. Some will give you choices like this, some will give you different choices that are going to look slightly different. If we look at read by list in this case, we can select a variety of different vehicle data PIDs and just take a look, and we'll pick a few here. And we now can look at them in data values, numerical values. We also have the option to be able to graph them, and you can do a bunch of independent graphs, as you can see here, which are great for logging data over time and seeing a trend or seeing something changing that maybe should or should not be. We also have the ability to combine up to 4 individual graphs together in one synchronous picture. You will also find you can pinch this way or this way in order to change the scaling of the graph. So keep that in mind as you use the graph. You can also use this little button here to change which data PIDs you are selecting in the graph in the integrated 4 choices. Again, we're going to swipe the screen from the side towards the middle to go back. It's kind of a flick like this. Okay. We can do a momentary report of data. If we hit the report button, it's going to take a snapshot of that data one time right when we hit the button report. We can do record, and that's going to record a data stream recording that we will find back in our settings menu. Make sure you name it something that you know you can identify, hit OK, and make sure that it says it was saved successfully. Now, a couple other things. If we would like to go back here, we're going to go back. You can save a momentary sample as well, which is going to save your minimums and maximums of whatever data sampling you're getting. We also have the option, if we swipe from the top of the screen down like this, we can turn on a screenshot button, which will bring up this little camera button. You just tap that to take a screenshot of whatever's being displayed currently. Or we can also hit this little video camera button. That's going to bring up this little playhead we see here. And if we tap that, we can start screen recording everything we see on the screen until we hit the stop button. The screen recordings and the screenshots will be found in the settings menu, the settings menu that we showed you before at the earlier part of this video. So we're going to go ahead and turn that back off. We can also access the camera up here. So if we click that little camera, it's going to turn on the camera on the back side of the tool, which is going to allow us to take physical pictures of the dash cluster or anything else on the vehicle that we would like to take a picture of. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to pilot and run this tool as far as graphing data, as far as taking snapshots of information, as far as integrating data together into one synchronous report. Of course, we can read and clear codes, we have bidirectional controls, everything that you would expect out of a professional series tool, and it is very easy and straightforward to use. The user interface is very friendly and simple. Now also, you will find on a large number of vehicles you're working on that there is sometimes a very large number of data PIDs. So we see 332 listed here. If we have an idea of a specific word that might be contained in that data PID, we could type in speed, and less is more, right? So if we type in SPE, it's likely we will come up with a variety of data PIDs that have the word speed contained in them. So that is a nice feature to have that search function there. You can hit the little X to erase our search results. And again, just a simple, helpful tip that works on all of the TOPDON professional series tools in order to be able to filter data a little bit faster if you're looking for something specific. Now, don't forget, we're going to exit out, and we're going to exit out of the car all the way by hitting the little door in the top right corner. Don't forget that when you are working on a variety of vehicles, you may also want to scan the vehicle specifically in EOBD. So we're going to use our search up here. We're going to type in EOBD or OBDII, and it's 2 with 2 letter I's. So if we type that in, you'll see OBD. There it is. We're going to tap that. And if we want to scan the vehicle in EOBD or OBDII, we can simply enter in through that scan menu, select EOBD or OBDII, and retrieve any codes, look at readiness monitors, look at status of various permanent or static faults. You can see here, it gives you an initial report. My apologies, I went a little fast there. It'll ID the vehicle. It'll look at the readiness status, tell you which readiness statuses are supported on this specific vehicle. It'll verify the protocol that the vehicle talks on. And then we can go through and look at all of the standard OBD menus on the tool. Of course, the support for OBD specific data is going to vary by vehicle, typically by the year. That's most frequently the kind of information that's going to get filtered by year. There's more support on later and newer model years and less support on older vehicles, right? You're also going to see, if you look at live data in OBD mode may be easier to understand and interpret than what you find on the OEM specific software model. This is going to be more general and more similar between vehicle brands when you look at OBD data versus looking at it on the vehicle specific software. So keep that in mind as you go through and use the tool. So as you can see, there are a wide variety of features on the Phoenix Plus 2. That upgraded communication interface is a huge advantage over the original Phoenix Plus. I should also note that the new communication interface has a USB port on it, which means if you would like to use the Phoenix Plus 2 with the TOPDON T Ninja box for the IMMO or the IMMO Prog function, you can now make use of the Phoenix Plus 2 very effectively with the T Ninja box because you have a USB port on the top of the tool, a cable, and you can connect it to the vehicle communication interface easily with that USB cable. Hey, it's Hawken with TOPDON. Just wanted to say thanks again for taking the time to watch our general walkthrough and introduction to the Phoenix Plus 2. We hope you enjoyed this video, and of course, as always, we appreciate if you would like, subscribe, and share all of our videos on the social media platform of your choice. Hope to see you next time on the next video, and thanks again for watching.